Give me some ones and yeses in the box. Let me know you can hear me. I won't start until you guys are ready to start. Room's filling up now, which is good. Ones and yeah, okay, awesome. Cheers, Laurel. You're the first one in, just to let me know you can hear me okay. Kevin, Laurel again. Oh no, Dan, sorry, they're going down, not up. Okay, so the questions are at the top, so I should be able to see everybody's questions as they come in. I might just spin it around a bit this week because I'm doing it in a bit of a different format. And I'm doing it in a different format because I tend to get it across better when I speak on stage and when I speak at events. It tends to work a lot better. And I think this week is quite important because, as a lot of you guys know, I work with a lot of business owners. I do a lot of one-on-one coaching, some group coaching, and what I find is that one of the biggest things that a lot of our audience and a lot of business owners struggle with is not necessarily being able to deliver their service or being able to provide what would be beneficial to a user, but instead actually figuring out how to find the right prospects, where the right prospects are, how to go from clueless to customer, which is kind of the life cycle of a customer, and then the spider selling strategy, which is something that I've probably used for 3 or 4 years now. It's my own framework. And it's the first time it's ever been shown, actually. This will be the first time tonight. I have written a book on it, but this will be the first time I've shown it. A real whiteboard, it is. It's a real one. It's not been used for about 18 months, this one, so it's probably going to be dead hard to rub off. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought now. Yeah, the spider selling strategy. So if I'm writing a full-on webinar, I use my book, The Sales Accelerator System, to go in and write the full webinar, which is like a 90-minute presentation or a 2-hour presentation. But what this is really good for is if I'm writing a sales letter, if I'm writing a video sales letter, if I'm writing say I get invited to speak at an event and it's like a 20-minute talk and I have to fit everything into a quick 20-minute talk, this is absolutely brilliant to get people from where they are to where you want them to be. And then if you do sell at the end, then it works just as well. So for business owners, it's absolutely brilliant. But there's 3 frameworks I'm going to go through tonight, and I'll probably chuck in a couple of other frameworks along the way because it's not scripted, it's not planned. I'm just going to go through, and the reason I'm going to do the initial 2 frameworks is it's important that you understand the initial 2 frameworks, and they're interchangeable, so you can do either, whichever you want to do first or last. But the reason I'm going to do the first 2 frameworks is simply because these frameworks help you with the spider selling strategy. If you do these 2 right, then the spider selling strategy will actually, and you'll understand why it's called the spider selling strategy as well as we go, and you'll never forget it. All you're gonna have to remember after tonight is 4 C's, 3 M's, and spiders. If you can remember all that, you'll be able to actually do pretty good at better than 80% of the world, probably better than 90% of the world. So is everyone okay? We would just do a free-for-all. If you ask questions, if I spot them, they're coming in here. I've got some questions over here from the other platform. So I don't know which platform this is or this is, but you're in different places. Paul Kirkham, you're over here. So you, Dan Johnson. So you guys, if you got any questions, you just can pop them in there. So I'm just going to get started. So let's, I'm going to assume that everybody understands how to find, how to use a core product in their business. Obviously, if you're running a business that's selling multiple different products, you always want to promote and market the product that's the easiest to promote, market, and sell. And then all your other products inside the business are upsells and downsells and cross sells and things like that, because it makes your marketing very, very specific and very, very targeted. But the way we start, I'll just start right. And the way we start, we always start, and I'm going to do the customer life cycle first, but these are interchangeable. So the way we start is I have 4 C's, okay? So the 4 C's look like this. 4 C's of the customer life cycle start like this, okay? And what you will find is most people, okay, most businesses, and we're probably all guilty of it, me as well, do this. And they try to go from what is known as clueless to customer, okay? But there's 2 steps in between. So they try to go from clueless to customer, straight from clueless to customer. And at this point here, this is where people don't know you exist. They don't know you're a business. So imagine you are, like, I'll use a roofing company, for example, because I've just had something. Not seeing your screen. Can everybody see the whiteboard? Yes. Yep. Okay, good. Jan, I don't know. There is no screen. It's just me. So, okay, they've got tons and tons of yeses now. Okay, I didn't think anyone could see it then. I thought it was just me then chatting to myself in like midair. Right. So this is this. Let's call this this. This can be let's put this as lips. Yeah. This is a sad face, right? Because this is kind of what most businesses do. They go from clueless to customer when they're trying to promote something. Okay. But at this point, they don't know you exist. Yeah. So imagine you're trying to go on a date. Don't know you at all, right? And straight away you're going to ask her to get married. Yep. So you go on your first date, you sat across from someone, man or woman, and you say, "Let's get married," and they run like it. And it's the same with a business. There's a strategy we use to go from clueless to, and I'll spell this wrong now because I always do. I think that's how we spell it. Conscious, curious, and then customer. Right. So if you're trying to promote to a business, it's very, very, very important that your marketing focus comes in here. Okay. Your marketing should nearly always be designed to take somebody from clueless to just conscious to know you exist. So for example, right, let's say, and I'll draw a little picture somewhere else on the board where I'm not going to do a lot. I'm not going to do a lot over here, right? So whenever we're going to build what's called a lead magnet here, right? And a lead magnet, LM, is basically something that's going to get our ideal prospect to want to pay attention, to want to go from not knowing who we are to actually being conscious of who we are. And this works with all businesses. So if I was a roofing company, for example, I like to make these free, right? Free lead magnet, but you can make them very, very low cost as well. So let's say you was running a roofing business. You was running a roofing business and you wanted to get other businesses to allow you to go around and inspect the roof, right? Well, you're already going to set up your equipment. You're already going to be climbing up on the roof. You're already going to be walking around on the roof. It's not going to hurt to take up a couple of buckets and say, do you know what? Right? Let's say there's a load of people that do drain cleaning. I think they're called drains, gutter cleaning. Yeah. A lot of people in the area that do gutter cleaning, right? But you could turn around and say, right, my lead magnet. So we've got, let's call this the PIS, yeah? Problem I solve, right? So there's a problem you solve for a business. This is the problem you solve for a business. If you then have another circle around it like this is other problems. So I like to write this on a piece of paper. We'll get there. It's gone all bent, that. Other problems. I like to write this on a piece of paper. So if I was doing roofing, I'd be like, right, okay, so I want to get re-roofed and I want to get roof repairs. But they also have gutters. They also have drains. They also have drain pipes. And what I want to be able to do, I'll be writing's getting terrible down there. What I want to be able to do is try to give them support with this at either free or a super low cost. So let's say my business was built on inspecting roofs. Yeah. Sorry, not inspecting roofs, but going to do an inspection on a roof and then upselling the customer and saying, right, you've got cracked tiles there, and there, you've got this problem here, there, and there. If I turn around and said free gutter cleaning with every roof inspection, and I went down and I dropped a load of flyers in the local area, right? Anybody who lives near the sea will know that seagulls are an absolute nightmare with filling your drain pipes and your gutters, and you have to go up every single year and clean them all out. Now, you probably get 2 buckets of mud. There's not really a lot in there, but it blocks them, causes water to come over the edges and things like that. So things like this would be super, super attractive. And what you're looking for, if you're going to give a free roof inspection anyway, going up there and taking a couple of buckets and scraping out the gutters while you're up there and doing it is what we would call a lead magnet. And that's what's going to take a customer from here to conscious, right? I'll do something that I understand a bit better than roofing. So from an SEO perspective, okay, let's say I'm trying to target SEO agencies, and current times, actually, like right now, current times, everybody's worried about AI. Everybody's excited about it and everybody's worried about it. They're all worried about AI because AI at the minute is wiping out a lot of industries. It's wiping out a lot of opportunities. It's wiping out copywriting has been decimated. Computer programming has been decimated. On-page SEO is getting decimated at the minute. Web design, or just all sorts of different things. They're all struggling, right? And if you run an agency, it's in the back of your head, even though a lot of people don't want to admit it. It's in the back of most people's heads, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go from there? So if I was to create a lead magnet, right, a free lead magnet is like 3 ways to make agency AI proof, okay? And what am I going to collect from these people for this? So this is going to be a free lead magnet that I'm going to give to the customer that's then going to give me their email address, yeah? And I'm going to get their email address because what I want to do with their email address is I want to move it over to here where they become conscious, and I want to put it into, say, a 5, let me just work out, yeah, a 7 email sequence, yeah, which is going to be the spider selling strategy. And what that's going to do, that's going to give them an introduction, welcome. That's going to then give them something that's like, okay, this is a big problem that shows we understand you. This is going to be, I'm not going to go too deep into spider selling yet. And let's say there's 7 of these, and we're going to give them an email sequence that's designed to give value, remedy, and then sell type of situation, okay? So this is going to take them from clueless to conscious, and then these bottom ones here are going to start making them curious about who we are and ready to make a date, and then eventually over here, we're going to turn them into a customer. So what's really important is the only thing you should be doing when you're trying to reach out to a cold market, when you market into a cold audience, is aiming at going from clueless to conscious. That's it. We're not trying to use our market to go from clueless to sold. Otherwise, it's going to cost you way too much money. What we want to do is we want to try and build, okay, a network of people here, conscious, people that know who we are. And so this is know who we are, but not interested. Yeah. Then the follow-on sequence takes them from know who we are to interested. Okay. And then this is where they buy our product or service. And there's like there's a 3-step cycle: step 1, step 2, step 3, right? And it's really important to understand this when you're trying to promote and market anything for your business, because everybody, what's the 5th email? I have no idea. It's the concept to try to teach you. So, but this is the first point you need to, and this is interchangeable with what I'm going to go through next. And once you've seen what I'm going to do next, which is going to be the triple M strategy, you're going to understand why this is so important, okay, and how we're going to use this. And then when I go into the spider selling strategy, it's all going to make way more sense. But does that make sense to everyone? Right, yeah, don't worry about that yet, Laurel. I will I will go through that for you shortly when I actually do the framework for the spider selling strategy. So all I want you to remember at the minute is the 4 C's: clueless, conscious, curious, customer. And the only aim that you want when you're trying to find new business is to take them from clueless to conscious. How are we going to catch their attention, okay, and make them give us some sort of email or some type of contact information, or join a school group, follow us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, give us an email and go into our email sequence, whatever it is that we want to do, where we're going to then nurture those clients to take them from curious, from conscious that we exist to curious about it. Okay, I'm interested now. I get what this guy does. I know he knows what he's doing. I know he understands me as a customer. Let's maybe consider doing business with him. And when they are ready to buy, you're going to be the top of their list. But you obviously also need to be making call to actions available so they can see call to actions. Does that make sense to everybody so far? Yes? Right, cool. It's up here. I'm going to try and wipe the board. Oh, it's working. Awesome. I didn't think it was going to because it's been sat there a year. This board unused. Working kind of. We'll get to the next one, I think, and then I'll have to clean it. Right, so this next step now, I'm going to go through how to find your perfect target market. So how to find an actual target market that's going to work with you. And with this one, we've got the framework of the 3 M's, yes? So M, and M, okay? And they stand for market, message. Oop, have I spelled that right? Yep, message and media. And what you're going to want to do here is there's various rules. So if you ever ask anybody who's your customer, who's your target market, and they'll always tell you, everyone, I want to just sell to as many people as I possibly can. Okay, and that doesn't work, because if you've been to any of my webinars and presentations, you'll see that I always talk to the individual. And usually it's SEO agencies, it's web designers, it's people who want to start and build a business, it's people who are looking for a business opportunity to make money from usually something to do with SEO, local business, local marketing. And the reason I talk direct to those individuals is if I'm trying to talk to everybody, it doesn't work. Okay, it doesn't work because they just turn off, they switch off. It's like, right, it's not speaking to me. So when we're talking about market message media, the first one here is where most of the work comes in. And we have kind of a few rules. And you might have heard me talk about this a lot over the years. One of these things here is inch wide, mile deep, okay? And what I'm saying here is when you're looking for your market, you want to be targeting a market that's an inch wide and a mile deep. And what I mean by an inch wide, mile deep is you're looking for a market that will basically, for example, if I was going after plumbers, I would probably go after boiler inspection specialists or boiler installers or underfloor heating specialists. If I was going after golfers, I'd probably go after golfers between the age of 60 plus golfers, okay? And the reason I'd go after those is every market that I go after, okay, even though it has to be an inch wide, mile deep, what that means is it's a very deep market with a lot of people in it, okay, but it's a very narrow market. So when I get over to my message in a minute, it's a lot easier for me to speak direct to the individual, okay? The next part is going to be that the market needs to be growing / refreshing. And what I mean by that is, obviously a growing market. We don't want to build we don't want to start doing all this work for a market that's dropping off, that's going to disappear. Like, there's no point in trying to sell things at the minute to businesses that employ copywriters, because unfortunately, most of the copywriters are being let go, and they're having to find more work. And just 3-4 years ago, it was probably classed as the best skill to ever have. And unless you're right up here at the top of the level now, it's kind of no point. But there's not enough of these people. It's a shrinking market. And when I say refreshing, let's use the golf example again. A refreshing market is if I was trying to teach golf. Let's say I was targeting people who were playing golf and they're losing the distance off their swing, right? So usually in a lot of cases, people 60 plus, your muscle starts to diminish. And if you don't do strength training, eat a lot of protein, your muscles are going to get smaller, you're going to get weaker. And that's just a natural progression of getting old. But that means this is a refreshing market because there's lots of people turning 60 all the time. Okay, but there's lots of people getting old. So it's not necessarily a growing market, but there's still lots of new prospects coming into the market all the time. So when you're trying to find your ideal market that you want to go after, this is something that you want. And then using the golf example, it's perfect, is in pain. Okay, so you imagine this golfer, he's on the golf course and he's getting really pissed off because these young 24-year-olds are turning up. They've been golfing for 3 years. He's been golfing for 35 years. And all of a sudden they're turning up and they're beating him and they're knocking it all 100 yards further and he's really, really struggling. So he's in pain. You want a market that's in pain. In addition to that, we also want a market that has money. Okay, very important. I can't remember who it was, but I got a great example of this a few years back where somebody, sorry, I keep disappearing off the camera. Somebody who was basically, I think he was building a computer game for young kids, and it was really beneficial to these young children. It was like, it taught them education, it taught them loads of different stuff to work, kind of like Minecraft. It's blown up because parents are like, yeah, of course you can use Minecraft, it teaches you stuff. But so he was trying to sell a game, but he was marketing and promoting to the children, and the children aren't the people with the money are the parents. So you want to make sure that your market's got money, because not just that they have money, but they've got the ability to spend the money and they're willing to spend the money on what it is that you've got. So there's enough pain to warrant the cost and they can afford to pay for it. Okay. Then there's two other things that we're going to focus on when we're creating a market. Is the market's got to be evergreen. And what I mean by that, who remembers fidget spinners? Give me a yes in the box if you remember fidget spinners. Well, I get a drink of coffee. Yes. Yeah, everybody had a dip there. Well, that's kind of a perfect example. Fidget spinners is a perfect example because fidget spinners kind of dropped off all of a sudden. My kid has to have them. Yeah, I've got an autistic daughter, so I get that. She has them little poppy things, my daughter. But what I'm saying is fidget spinners kind of exploded all over the market, and then all of a sudden China and everyone else made all these terrible copies, and now they're nowhere near as popular. They was for a very short time. That's not an evergreen product, okay? That's like a flash in the pan. Building a business around that, or building a business around something that, like masks, when we had COVID, a lot of people made a lot of money in masks very, very quickly, but a lot of people have also got millions of pounds worth of masks now sat in factories all over the world that are never going to sell, okay? So it wasn't an evergreen market. If you want to build a real long-term business, you really want to go after something that's still going to be available and still going to be active in the next 3, 4, 5 years, okay? And this is the reason that I've moved most of my efforts from web design, SEO, mass page, a lot of the things that we were doing previously over to Google Business Profile Optimization. And a lot of you will see the stuff now that's happening with Google Business Profiles. And the way everything's happening is because that's where Google's putting their efforts. So we know full well that our clients are going to get the best results. And we also know that it's going to be a long-term market, whereas web design and SEO eventually over the next couple of years could potentially become almost completely automated, which we don't want, but it will. It's more than likely going to happen. And then probably the most important, okay, I'm going to get on one knee while I do this, easy to contact, okay? If you're going after a prospect, okay, that's got, that are kind of sporadically spaced out all over the world, okay? And that person, they're really difficult to get hold of an individual person. So let's say to market to that person costs you, let's say it costs you $1,000 to get a customer. The customer's lifetime value is only say $200. Then you've not got a business. You've just got something that you're throwing 5 times your money in the bin to pick up a customer, and it just doesn't make any sense. So let's use a golf example that we talked about before, okay? If I was going to promote and market to 60 plus golfers, okay, and it was to do with, let's say I had a fitness program, right? I'm trying to sell a fitness program. This is a good example. I'm trying to sell a fitness program. I'm going to move into these a little bit, but I'm trying to sell a fitness program, okay? And my ideal client that I went through here, I'm targeting that I want to go after 60 to 80-year-old men who play golf, who are losing distance on the swing, because I know full well that the distance on that swing, it's not because he's losing his technique and his talent, it's because he's not eating enough protein, he's not doing strength training once or twice a week, and because of that, his muscles are starting to degrade, so he's not got the strength he had before. But if he gets the right diet, the right exercise, the right sleep, and so on and so forth, he's going to be in a position where it's going to work. So I don't know anything about golf, but then because I want to sell that program to that ideal person, I then know that it's a refreshing market. Yes, I know they're in pain because nobody wants to see the young buck come along and start taking over. Okay, I know they've got money because they're spending, I don't know, between 2K to maybe 25K a year in fees to be a member of a golf club. Okay, I know it's an evergreen market because most men after the age of 50 love playing golf because it's a great way of burning a lot of calories. It's a great way of having a day out, getting away from the family, even though we love them. And then it's easy to contact them because there's lots of ways I can contact them. Say there's a Facebook page for golfers. Say there's a YouTube channels for golfers. Say there's golf clubs, yeah? Golf clubhouses, I don't know what you're going to call them. And then what I would do is I would score between each of these to figure out which was the best way for me to contact the individual businesses. But let's say we went after golf clubs, right? So we went after a golf course, they're easy to contact. So then the idea for me would potentially be, and I'm going to move into message, and I'm going to explain what I'm talking about here as we move into message. So let's say I want to target 60 plus males, yeah, 60 plus men who play golf, who are losing distance on the swing, and they need help to. So my promise to the market is going to be that that some people are still saying no screen shared. You can see it's my camera. Look at my camera. So what? 60 plus men that play golf, and then my message to them is going to be based around the swing. So my ideal message to them is going to be, are you a 60 plus male, okay, with a short swing now, a short tee, I think it's called. I don't play golf, so I don't know anything about golf, so I'm using it as an example, right? So then what potentially I could do is I could create a video training course. So let's say I had 5 times videos, yeah, and I could put it on a web page for $300. And then what I could do is this would be my lead magnet. This would be my clueless to curious. Yeah. sorry, clueless to conscious that I exist. And then what I would do is I'd go to golf clubs, golf courses, and I'd contact them and say, look, we've got this for the 60 plus golfers. Obviously, it's $300 to anyone else, but because you're such a prestigious club and we really want to do business with you, we're going to let you give this to your members 100% free of charge. There's no additional work once you've created that 5-video sequence. And the whole point of the 5-video sequence is to teach them everything they know. And then what we're going to do is say, right, but what does everybody need? They need somebody to help them. They need somebody to coach them. Okay, they need somebody to keep them accountable. So we're going to use a 5-video sequence here that we're going to give to the golf courses to get the 60 plus men that can afford it, that are in pain, that are in an evergreen market, they're easy to contact, to actually get them into our coaching program, our fitness program. Okay, and I'm using this just as an example, but to get them into our fitness program, because the message has gone directly to these guys and we're using this as a target market that we're going to go. Does this make sense? Is you're understanding how we approach this? It's the same when I had the circle over here before. Okay, so the problem is the problem I've got is my coaching program teaches 60-year-old males how to build muscle, how to eat more protein, how to get fitter and stronger so they can keep that swing into the later years. Yeah, that's what the problem mine solves. What other problems do they have? And then we're going to try and solve it for free, or look to solve it for as low cost as possible. And then we're going to look for the best way to market it. But because we've done the research at the beginning and we know who the target market is exactly, we're then able to say, right, well, we're going to look at all these, but the best way to do it is through the golf courses, give them a free lead magnet and push it across that. Does that make sense? Yes? So the only thing you need to know with the message, other than the framework I'm going to do in a minute, is that the message needs to be a specific message using a specific media. And when I say a specific media, I don't mean Facebook, I don't mean videos, I don't mean Google, I mean a specific media. Like the media we were using was there, golf courses. So we're going to golf courses, we're going to clubhouses, we're going to contact the clubhouse, we're going to contact them with our 5-video sequence and say it's a $300 5-video sequence, but we're going to give it to your members 100% free of charge. You can give it to them as part of their 2 to 25K a year membership, and it's going to cost you nothing. And they're going to be so appreciative. And it's like, what do you get out of this? We don't get anything out of this. We just want to help you. We think you're a great club, and we want to help you. Obviously, what we really want is that when they get to the end of the video 5 sequence, they contact us for the coaching. We get them into our high ticket coaching program or low ticket coaching program, whatever it actually happens to be. And what we've done is we've used the market, okay, which is inch wide, mile deep. Yep, growing and refreshing, in pain, has money, evergreen, and easy to contact, right? That's your specific market. That's what you need to go through when you're figuring out exactly who you're going to target for your audience. Then you need a specific message talking to the specific individual and use a specific media. Okay, so the 2 frameworks are clueless, conscious, curious customer. Yeah, and we want to not skip. We want to hit each one. So it's a 3-step process. And then we've got market message media. Does that make sense to everybody for now? And then we're going to move into the framework. Yes. Oh, I'm trying to grab my mouse. Yep. So it makes sense for everybody. Yes. Somebody's mentioned GBPly on here. I will talk about that next week, but I do know there has been an issue with GBPly because somebody put us on completely off thingy, but I've just seen someone mention it. GBPly.net instead of .com. Go to .net. We had somebody, clever competitors. Some of our clever competitors decided to put us on sites like we had adult content. So people have struggled to log into. We've had to create a cloned site. And then after we've created the cloned site, what's happened is, I'm going to spray this on here. Actually, oh, this is Dettol, actually. I don't know if that's the right thing. Anyway, and what's happened is we've had to make a mirror server on gbply.net, and we are working on fixing gbply.com. It's not happening to everybody, but some people are having a problem simply because, this board, I need a new board. Some people are having a problem being able to see it because of the security settings, mainly in the UK and Europe, because of GDPR and stuff like that. It's not too bad in the States. But yeah, so if you just use gbply.net, same password and everything else, you'll see that it works absolutely fine. Okay, guys, next thing I'm going to jump into now. So I did these 2 frameworks so you understand where to get started. I think me just going through the spider selling strategy with people isn't going to help you to the same level it will if I just jump straight into this understanding the framework that we use. So this is kind of the middle M now. So this is the message. So we've got a specific message to a specific market, and we've gone through and we've figured out exactly who the market's going to be. Okay, we've used the 4 C's, and we thought to ourselves, okay, we only want to do one thing. We want to take them from clueless to conscious. Who we are, but not interested. They just need to know we exist. That's all we're trying to do with our marketing. And we want to try to collect their contact information so that we can help them more and make them interested in what we do. Right, so spiders, yes, I don't know how I'm going to write this on the board because I've never taught this before. I've never ever spoke about this before to anybody other than my business partner and whilst I've been writing the book and the people that go through and read the book while I'm doing it. So there's 7 steps, okay? So I will write it, I'll just write it down the board. Drop to the knee. Spiders. So this is kind of all I need to do. So if somebody says to me, okay, Mike, we want you to speak at this event and you've got a 20-minute slot, okay? Or we need you to write a sales page for one of our clients. This is what I will do. I will write spiders, okay, in headings on, say, Google Doc. And then I will work my way through, okay? So there are certain things that we want to do. Anybody who's ever sat in a presentation and thought, I have no idea if this is for me, okay? And then they are thinking 20 minutes, 45 minutes in, you're like, this has got nothing to do with what I thought it was. And you walk out pissed off and you're never going to sit through a presentation from that person ever again. Has that happened to anybody in here? Yes, yes, yes. Thank you very much, Brian. Yes, yes, yes. Too many times. Exactly. So the first thing I ever want to do, right? The first thing I ever want to do when somebody sits down, and this is on my webinars as well. So on a webinar, you'll always hear me say, the first thing I do is, if you are this person, this is for you. Yes? If you are this person, this is for you. And I do it purposely because I don't want someone to turn up, sit there for even 20 minutes and then think, banker, he's just had me sat in a room for 20 minutes for no reason, because we use curiosity in the headline. We want you to show up. But if you show up and, yeah, okay, it's not for me, I'm going to leave, but I've not wasted half of your night, you might not be so mad at me. Yeah, exactly. Right. So the first thing we want to do is, and I'm probably going to spell these wrong. I've written 11 books and I still can't spell. Situation. So what we're going to do when we're focused on the spider selling strategy for somebody is the first thing we're going to talk about is their current situation. So, and what I mean by this is who this is for. Okay, is the very first question. What is their current situation and how and why do you understand them? Okay, so we've got these 3 areas that we really focus on with the situation for the individual, right? But for example, if I was to walk onto here tonight and say, are you an SEO agency or web designer who's worried about AI taking away a lot of your customer base? And you'd be like, yeah, that actually does make sense to me. Okay, I'm interested. Yes. So it's as simple as that. The first step to it is just letting the person know they're in the right place. Okay. Now you do this on a sales page. You do this right at the very top of the sales page. If you are, this is interesting for you because, boom. Then the next section down is problem. Okay. So problem basically stands for what is their biggest problem? So the guys with the golf clubs, biggest swing is the problem. Okay. The biggest problem for SEO agencies, web designers, and companies like that at this minute is AI's taking your services and your revenue. Okay, if they're not doing it yet to your current client base, what's happening for a lot of SEO agencies and a lot of web designers is they're failing at the pace of churn rate. And if you don't know what churn is, that's basically how fast you're losing clients each month. If you've got 150 clients and you're losing 5 clients a month, but you're not bringing any new clients in because you're charging 3K for a website and somebody else will do it for 300 quid and there's hardly any difference, then they're going to go with the 300 quid one every single time. Okay, I explain this to people by saying if I offered someone 50 quid to close that door, and then someone over here said, I'll do it for a £5, I'll be like, okay, hired. The 50 quid guy's just lost the job instantly without, it's not his fault. I was offering £50 because I'm an idiot, but then this 5 quid guy over the way. So this is what we're going to do is, and I'll kind of show you a couple of examples of this once I've gone through what it is, right? So basically, situation is who it's for, okay, plus understand them. Who's heard the saying, What is focal is causal? Does anybody know what I mean by what is focal is causal? Yep. Yes, basically that exactly right. Yes. So basically, what it means is when they say what is focal is causal, it's a psychological principle that means if you can get somebody to think about something right now, then it's top of mind. And people, who said it? I can't remember his name. He basically, and I don't know if I'll word it right now, but he basically said, nothing is as important as you think it is whilst you're thinking about it. Okay. And if you go away and think about it that way, nothing is as important as you think it is whilst you're thinking about it. Yeah, I think that's the right wording, right? And basically what it means by that is if you can get somebody thinking about their problem, all right, then it's way more important. It's top of mind. If you've ever been on a course for anything that you was not even thinking about before and you had no, like, I went on one a few months back for HR, for human resources, to do with the staff and to do with all that type of stuff that we do. And I was on this course, and by the time I left, I'm phoning my business partner and I'm saying, yeah, we're not doing this right. We're not doing this right. What about this? What about this problem? What about that problem? And he's like, Mike, you've just been on a course. Yeah. It's focal is causal. And I was like, holy shit. He went, put a tick on it. Let's talk about it next week. And if you're still interested, we'll fit. And straight away, a week later, I'm like, forget about that, mate. I'm not interested anymore. So basically what we need to do here is, what is the problem? Okay. So that's not an M, is it? That's like I don't know what it is, right? What is the problem? All right. So for example, you run an SEO agency, a web design agency. AI is taking your services and your revenue. Obviously, we're going to put this into more wordings as we go. But if you put this framework right, it works perfectly. Right. Then it's going to be implication. Okay. What is the implication? Okay. If they ignore it. Does that make sense? So you don't want to go too far here, because this one's going to be devastate, okay? And this one's going to be emergency, and it'll start to come together and you'll understand what I'm talking about. But the implication is, okay, like we just said a minute ago, is AI taking all your services and your revenue, okay? Maybe it is. Maybe they're just failing at the pace of churn, right? But the implication of ignore equals fail times 5 clients a month. Yeah. So if they've not got a new business strategy coming in, and if they ignore it, they're going to start to fail at 5 clients a month. If they've got 150 clients, then they've not got long left. I can't work it out. I think it's 30. They've got 30 months left in business, but they haven't, because let's say, okay, but the implication of ignoring this is, okay, what profit are you making out of those 30 clients? And if you lost 30% of your clients right now, all of a sudden, would you be able to carry on paying your staff's wages? Would you be able to carry on paying your rent at your offices and things like that? So the implication is just a conversation. It's not trying to make them upset or worried about it, but it's to say to them, look, unfortunately, if you don't pay attention to this now, if you ignore it, this is where you could be in 18 months, 2 years time. But then we're going to devastate them, yeah? Devastate. And when I say devastate them, what I mean by this is that we're now gonna go for the juggler vein a little bit. You don't overdo it. If you scare somebody too much, they are going to look at what it is you're talking about and say, and just bury their heads in the sand. Like, no, that can't happen to me. That can't happen to my industry. That can't happen to what I'm doing. Okay, so devastate is more like, we could go all out and we could be saying, right, you're going to lose your house, you're going to lose your clients, you're going to lose your business. You could end up not being able to pay your mortgage. You're going to lose all your staff. You're going to lose all your assets. Your wife's going to fall out of love with you and leave you because you've got no money and you're a bum, and so on and so forth. You could really go out all to town on this, but it's based on an individual client. So situation, problem, implication, devastate. Okay, is this making sense to people so far? This is the way we frame it. And if you remember, then it's emergency, right? This is where now you have no idea what I'm selling to you yet, do you? I'm not selling anything tonight, by the way. I'm just saying that you have no idea what I'm selling you at this point here. All I've done is made this all about you. Who you are, I understand who you are. You're an SEO agency, you're struggling with clients, your clients are dropping off at the speed of churn, okay, which is starting to scare you. AI is coming along, it's automating the business, it's automating what you do. But if you ignore this, you're going to fail at the rate of churn because you've not got a way of bringing in new business. You need something, okay, that's going to replace these 5 clients a month pretty damn quick, or you're going to stop being a profitable business and you're going to be unable to make. So this is how we have a conversation with a client as well. If I was doing a meeting with somebody and I was following this situation and I keep this meeting, then devastate is like, what's worst case scenario? So worst case scenario, if you lost 50% of your clients today, would you be able to stay in business? Would you be profitable enough? Like the speed that AI is taking away what we do, would you be able to? And they're like, well, no. Okay. So, and then the next thing is like, why should we deal with this right away? So if I'm turning around and saying to people, why do you want to deal with this immediately? Okay. And the way you're going to promote the way you're going to convince somebody to do this is you're going to basically explain to them that the current situation that we're in, and you can do this a lot of different ways, but the way I like to do it is, look, your future at the minute looks pretty damn bleak. You're losing 5 clients a month. You're in a situation where you potentially could lose your house, your car, your assets, your business, your staff, your missus, your family, everything could be gone. Okay, we're like going all out and devastating them here. And you don't want to use all of them. You just use 1 or 2 examples. Like realistically, would your missus stick around if you had nothing? Okay, and if they was to say yes and be 100% certain about it, then you move on to the next one. Would your staff stick around if you couldn't afford to pay them? Okay, would you still have the premises if you couldn't pay your rent? And all of a sudden they're like, holy shit, no, he's right here. We do need to pay attention to this. And then the emergency side of this is like, you're not the only one in the industry that's got this problem. You're not the only person that's struggling right now. Everybody's in the same boat and everybody's looking for a way out. And if they find a way out before you find a way out, what's going to happen? Okay, then the market's going to become super competitive. But if I get to tell you a new way right now today that you could get yourself dug out of this hole, would you pay attention? Can you feel it now? How it's like, oh my God, yeah, fucking hell, I'm interested now. I care. All of a sudden, you're like, okay, tell me a bit more. And this is where you make it an emergency by explaining to them that if you don't do it now, not only is this opportunity going to get harder, but it could potentially be taken away from you. All right, it's like the first people that used YouTube. Okay, loads of them made millions. Nowadays, everybody's a YouTuber, but none of them are making any money. And it's the same 6 year. So then what we're going to do now is we're going to introduce what? Can anyone guess? Somebody said it on one of the questions before. I accidentally slipped it in when you said what's the 5th one? Boom, Laurel. Yes, it was you on it. Right, I'm going to get on my knees for this one again. Remedy. Okay, remedy. Okay, so now look at this from a perspective of, okay. In fact, I'm gonna get back on my knee and do that one. Sell. Right, so we've got situation, problem, implication, devastate, emergency, remedy. This is where you're gonna say, we have a solution, okay, for your problem that is AI proof. Okay, and the AI proof solution that we have, okay, and you can all see this if you've been on one of my recent webinars. There's kind of the exact framework I've used it in a long form, okay, but I start at the beginning. It's an AI proof business model. So the remedy is Google Business Profile Optimization. Why is Google Business Profile Optimization a remedy? Because it relies on daily manual actions from the individual. So what happens is, okay, the solution is that everything's becoming commoditized, everything's becoming automated. Backlinks, citations, content, web design, on-page SEO, all of it can be automated and done at a level now by AI that in most cases by far surpasses. I was on a webinar, I think it was last week actually, with a guy called Damien Zamora. And they took my site that I built in AI, so it's not perfect, but I built it in AI while I was testing and playing around. And straight away, he come back to me and he said, look, you're not going to show up in the AI search because you've got all these blockers in place, and it's something like 1,500 blockers that there's no way I would have ever spotted. Now, don't get me wrong, if I had software to check it, I would have, but then I have to go and fix them all, right? And this is so we're looking at this, and it's like everything is going to be automated with AI. Everything is going to come along where it's going to be automated. But with Google Business Profile Optimization, if that's what I'm selling, so I'm using my business as an example, but it's a good example, right? You've got profile. I almost forgot then, guys. Profile. You got pictures. You got posts. and you got praise, yeah? And just let me explain what this is, right? So this is filling out your profile is a manual action, yeah? Uploading pictures every single day is a manual action. Doing posts every single day is a manual action. Chasing reviews and responding to them is a manual action. That can't be automated by AI because you have to integrate with Google, and Google's not going to allow it to be automated by AI because they're going all in on this now. And that's why over the last 18 months, 2 years, that none of us knew why they were purging all of the fake Google business profiles. But now we know they were purging all the fake Google business profiles because they knew that AI was coming the way it was coming, and they were getting ready for it. And they're going all in on Ask Maps. They're going all in on Google Business Profiles. Okay, so in fact, probably as far back as 2001 when they went from Google My Business to Google Business Profile. So we're looking at this now, and then I can say times consistency equals plus proximity. That's it. That's the whole process. That's the equation. Profile completeness, pictures every day, posts every day, praise is chase and response to reviews, times consistency equals a larger proximity. The more consistent you are over time, the bigger your proximity goes. Okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to sell. So then we're going to do a promotion and a market and a sale to these individuals, right? And this is where the sell comes in. Now your customers are already like, right, I'm super interested in this. This is actually making tons and tons and tons of sense to me. Now, this is probably the most important part. So if anybody wants all this information off the screen now, take a photograph because I'm going to use this to clean it, and I'm going to go through the sale with you of how to build an offer. I wasn't going to do this. I was just going to say sell, however you're going to sell. But you know what? I'm enjoying myself a little bit tonight. Quite a lot of you guys are chirping in and that. So I'm going to go through actually how to build an offer, the way that we build an offer when we're trying to sell that we want somebody to buy it. Okay? So if you took a screenshot now, I'm going to spray the screen again with, I don't know, I'm using Dettol. I've actually got a proper bottle of screen thing there, but it worked really well before. Anyway, it's working. Now, maybe I don't need a new board. Maybe it was just a bit disgusting before. Anyway, give me a second. Right. And anybody, in fact, give me a 2 in the box, guys, if you've bought something off me in the past. Just give me a 2 if you've bought something off me. In fact, give me a 3 if you bought something off me on a webinar. Okay? The Sales Accelerator System is my webinar book. If you get that, it's probably the biggest webinar book on the planet. It's like a catalog, huge, but it's absolutely brilliant for what you do. Okay, let's have a look. So I'm getting 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, loads of 3s from Brian. 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay, there's tons and tons and tons and tons of 3s in there. So you've all bought something from me. So you'll all recognize something off here, yeah? So you've either bought something off me, and then most of you have bought something off me on a webinar. Okay, that's brilliant because sell, okay, this has made me more money than anything I've ever done before, okay? So we've just got all the way through. So we're basically saying to the SEO agency, okay, so you understand your current situation. You're an SEO agency, you're a web design agency. Your problem is that AI is taking over your business. It's taking your services, it's taking your revenue. Implication is that if you ignore this, you could potentially lose everything. Okay, but it's going to chip away gradually at your business. So you don't have to panic straight away. Okay, but we don't tell them that. But then devastated, like you're going to lose clients, you could lose your home, you could lose your business, you could lose your staff, you could end up losing your family and absolutely everything else. Not only that, it's an emergency because, what did we say? It's an emergency because other people are coming up throughout the market and they're going to start taking this off you. And if you don't pay attention now and act now, and first mover's advantage, everybody's heard of that, haven't they? Yeah? Your first mover's advantage is exactly this, what I'm talking about. Your first mover's advantage is where if you get into a market first, it's a lot easier because the competition's not there. As soon as people start to realize there's loads of money in it, okay, which is what's just happened to me with GBPly.com, yeah? GBPly.com, our competitors have put us on sites to say it's full of adult content. Why? Because literally we've sold thousands and thousands and thousands of the business right out of the gate, no problem at all. Most people are struggling to sell GBP optimization tools, and ours has just gone boom and exploded because it's the best. So they're panicking and they're putting us on these sites, but they can only do that once. Once we've resubmitted it and they've checked the site and they've approved the site and we know it's legit, then they've got nowhere else to go. Okay, reputation management. Anyway, so we're going to talk about sell, right? So the first thing I would always do is I will always give an introduction. Okay, so introduction. right? And the introduction to the product is introducing GBPly.com, for example, yeah? This is the only way to manage and optimize Google business profiles almost hand-free for businesses online, yes? And then what we're going to do is we're going to say, right, so today we're going to have an offer for you, right? So the offer that we've got for you today is going to be absolutely amazing because you're on here, right? And then what I'm going to do is I would normally come in with, this is what it would cost, right? So I like to come in early and say, this is the cost, okay? Right, so the cost to you is this. Let's say you're paying, I don't know, let's just put $99 a month. You're paying $99 a month for a product, yeah? Now, if all this did, so straight away, as soon as I give the cost, right, most people are saying no at this point, and they're saying no because we want them to see a price. Let's say we're charging them $999 per month, yeah? And they're like, fuck that, I'm not paying that. I can't afford to pay that. But that's the good thing. We want them to say no at this point. We want to break them down from here. So we're going to hit them with a cost. It's like, boom, you can get GBPly Enterprise for $999 a month. Absolutely everything. If all this did, this is where the if all statements come in, sorry, guys. So let me just put this down, yeah? So we'd hit a value price, but your value price is huge over here. If, oops, I don't know why I put a cross. If all, let's get that and see if this actually works. Yeah, it does actually. I've messed about. So if all, yeah? I think I learned this from Russell Brunson, who's one of the guys who's really good at webinars from back in the day. I don't think he does it anymore. If all statement, right? So I'm going to say, if all this did was help you keep all your staff and run a profitable business for the next 5 years, would it be worth $999 a month? Don't forget, you're turning over 25 grand a month at the minute, and you can pay yourself 5 grand a month. If you could pay an extra $999 a month to guarantee your 5 grand a month wage, if all it did was help you carry on paying yourself 5 grand a month for the next 5 years, would it be worth that? And the answer is always yes. So instantly in their head, it's like, okay, I want 2 or 3 if all statements. If all this did was stop your wife leaving you for someone else who wasn't successful, would it be worth $999 a month? And they're like, yes, okay. And you're going to hit them with multiple if all statements. So it's like, this is the offer price. And the people are definitely not going to buy it are going to leave. But you can do this on a sales page. You can do this on a video sales letter. You can do this on a presentation. You can do this on a webinar. You can do it on anything, okay? Right, the next thing you're going to do then is, after all your if-alls, they say, actually, I'm only going to charge you $450 a month. And all of a sudden, like, wow. And you've just agreed with me that if all it did was those 3 things, it was worth $999 a month. Got a special deal today, $450. Okay? So straight away, you're looking at this and you're like, okay, this is now looking a bit more appealing. This is looking a bit more like I want to do it. But then what we start to do, and I'm going to wipe some of this off now because this is useless. You need that bit over there, don't you? But we don't need this bit. But the reason I'm going to do this is I want to show you something next. So once we've done that bit, okay, so we've done the introduction. We've done introduction. In fact, let me keep these here. Then we're going to go to the offer, or we're going to go to the price. Let's call it the price, yeah? We're going to call it to the price, which is $9.99. Okay. Then we're going to go to if all. Right. And then we're going to do times 3 of them. Then we're going to say offer price. Right. So let's say it's $450. Oh, I've messed up. Doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying, $450 there, don't you? Right. So you've gone from introduction price, if all statement, offer price is $450 a month. What's the next thing we want to do? Right. So a customer, this is important because a lot of people will do this. We're going to hit with bonuses next. And bonuses are really important. You can tell I'm talking fast now. I'm getting excited because I love this part of the thing. This has made me so much money over the years, millions and millions and millions, right? Bonuses, right? And a lot of people make the mistakes with bonuses. What they say is, all right, well, we're selling this product here. And this product is, I don't know, let's say they're buying GBPly, yeah? But over here in the bonuses, I'm going to give them a bag of crisp. I'm going to give them a free car. I'm going to give them flights to Mallorca. And all of a sudden the client's like, yeah, but what the hell has that got to do with what I want or what I need? So what we have to do here when we create the bonuses is you need to say, my customer, okay, let's put a smiley face here. This is your customer. In fact, sad face here. There's your sad customer. And we want to change that customer into this smiley face customer over here. Okay. So that's your clients there from sad to happy. And what we want to do with the bonuses, okay, is you want bonus number 1, B1, bonus number 2, bonus number 3, bonus number 4. And I disagree with some people. People like stack the value, stack the value, stack the value. You don't stack the value. Okay. I don't think that's right. What you do is you want to convert people. You want to be able to say to somebody, right, you're buying this. If you actually listen to my presentation, I say you're going to get this today for free, and 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 this today for free. When you buy GBPly today at half price from the offer link that's on the page. And I say it that way purposely because bonus number one is customers in certain situation. Okay, they have no idea what they're doing. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is like, right, I'm going to give you some training that's going to teach you how to do it. Yeah. After I give you the training, I'm going to teach you how to do it. I'm going to give you all the resources you need. So you're going to be able to do it and you don't have to go and spend any more money anywhere else. Right. Then I'm going to look at it and it's like, what else do they need? Okay, well, on my GBPly thing, I give you a VSL. Why? Because to create a decent quality VSL, you still can't write a script as good as the ones that I can write or that decent copywriters can write with AI. Not because AI is not a better writer than me, but because AI can't understand my product the way I understand my product. So I'm going to give you a video sales letter. And then one of the other bonuses I give is not only do I give you a video sales letter, I actually build you a web page on live with the video sales letter on and your meeting link and your buy link. Yeah. So this is a little web page that I'm going to give you. It's got a video here and then everything that you need. Okay. So what I'm doing here now is I'm looking at this and saying, right, so if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to buy GBPly and you're going to go and sign up a load of clients. I'm going to give you all the training you need to show you how to optimize by phones, by all the different ways that you can bring on a client. I'm going to give you all the resources you need. So during the meetings that you're going to book, you know exactly what you're doing and everything else. I'm going to give you a video sales that you can put on any page you want, share on YouTube, share on Facebook, share on all different places. And then I'm going to create you a full-on web page that you can share straight away. So all of a sudden, I've just gone from giving them a holiday and a car and loads of other bullshit that they're never going to use, and it's not going to take them from where they are to where they want to be. And the bonus packages is super important about this because every time you show a bonus, okay, it's like, okay, so boom, first objection is, I can't do this. Oh yeah, you can because I'll give you this. Second objection is, I haven't got all the stuff I need to do this. Yes, you have to. I'm going to give you all this. Oh, but I can't create a professional video sales like that's going to work. Yeah, you can because I'm going to give you this. Oh, well, I've not got a website and I think, don't worry about it. I'll just give you a web page and everything else. Oh my God, tick, we've just made a sale. Does that make sense? Yes. Right. So then what do we do after this? So now we've done all the bonuses. I'm going to put you on the bonuses. And then after the bonuses, what do we do next? What are people always looking for? A reason to say no. Yes? Is that making sense? So how do we stop them saying no? How do we stop somebody from saying no? We give them a big, fat, stinking guarantee. I guarantee this is going to work. If you follow this, and this, and set these steps up and doing everything you need to do, this is going to work. And you're going to have your first client in the next 30 days. And if you haven't got your first client in the next 30 days, what's going to happen? I'll give you all your money back. No questions asked. And you can keep all the bonuses for free just for testing it out. So you're not having to make a decision today. What you're doing instead, okay, of making a decision, you're just trying it. You're just testing it out to see if it's going to work, right? So all of a sudden now we've gone from selling a $450 a month product to actually giving them something that's going to change their life completely. Okay, so the next thing after the bonuses is the guarantee. Can anyone guess what comes next? Can you understand why I needed to actually do the beginning bits of this now so you understand the full framework? Like I could have talked about all of these different frameworks for like 2 hours each if we had to, but we haven't got the time. Introduction, price, if all statements, offer, bonuses, guarantee. What's next, guys? What should every single sale and every single offer have? Look, community training, every single one in the world should have it. Not a price slash, we've done that further up here. Drops it to 450. We've done a price slash. We don't do too many of them. That's tell you what it is, guys. In fact, let me spray some stuff on here and take this off. Because this again is one of the things I see missed out a lot. A lot of people don't do this, and when they don't do it, they leave so much money on the table. Like so much money on the table. And do you know what it is, right? If you're selling something you believe in and you're selling something that you think is good for a client and it's gonna benefit them, then you want to be doing exactly what I'm telling you to do today, right? After this, we're gonna go for. As soon as you see it, you'll be like, oh my God, yes, of course. Urgency and scarcity. How many people on here has bought something from me? And how many people on here has bought something? There we go, actually. Mittel, you got it. I don't see anyone else that got it. I know we've been on an hour. Like I said, I'd keep it to an hour, but we'll just go a little bit longer, guys. Maybe another 10, 15 minutes. Urgency and scarcity. So how many people's bought something off me from a webinar? I've seen that like probably 70 or 80 of you guys put 2s and 3s in before. Okay. Now think about that from the perspective of when you bought it on the day, or I've sent you a replay page, or you've bought it on the last minute when it's about to close. Okay. Like this is like countdown timers. Okay. Countdown. Countdowns are brilliant because it's like, you know what? Nobody wants to make a decision unless you kick them off the edge of a cliff to make a decision. And unfortunately, if it's a good decision, we want them to make it. So we put countdown timers on there, right? So the urgency and scarcity are slightly different, okay? So urgency is more, okay, this is your countdown timer. Urgency is basically something that would say last chance, okay? I like to send out an email every now and again when it's something that I think that's going to really, really help people. I'll send you an email out saying, sorry, you missed out. Right, that gets more opens than any other email I send out. And then at the top, the first sentence on the sorry you missed out, it says, that's exactly what I'll be saying to you in 2 hours if you don't get on here and have a look at this right now. And people will go, holy shit, I better look at it quick then, right? So next time you see an email that says, sorry, I missed out, you think, yeah, no, I haven't, not yet. Okay, but that's one of them tricks, right? But scarcity is also something where there's only a few available. Scarcity. So what you'll find a lot of people do is they'll say, okay, because we're selling software, we can sell as many of these as you could ever possibly want. But the people who buy on live right now, right, I'm going to build you. Remember what I said to you earlier? Bonus number 4, those who buy on live get a free web page that they can start sending out before the webinar's finished. Just give me a note in the box that says I'm in, and I'll send you, I'll build your web page whilst we're on live. And we've used AI to be able to do that really, really quick. Whilst I'm on live, I can build 50, 60, 70 of these pages if I need to. Those 50, 60, 70 might have said, you know what, I'll wait for the replay. Or I'll wait for the very last day and make my decision then. And then they might never come back and never look at it again. But because I can turn around and say, I'm going to build you this web page live. If you let me know that you're in right now, put I'm in the thing. Then I drop them a link. They do it. I check that they're in. On the sit screen, I make sure that they've purchased, and then I activate their page. And then I say, by the way, you can use that page now as many times as you want in the future. You've got your edit detail, you've got everything else. Does that make sense? Yes? So the next steps we're going at, I have to get my knees again here. Urgency and scarcity. And I'm going to put them in 2 separate lines because they are actually 2 separate. In fact, I think I've got white trainers on. I'm rubbing them all over the floor. Let me change my trainers, guys. I'm going to put my slippers on. 1 second. So urgency and scarcity. So can anybody tell me what's next? So we've just gone through this with a person now and said to them, right, urgency, price, if all statements, offer, bonuses, guarantee, urgency, scarcity. All of a sudden, these people are like, if they're not going to buy at this point, you're like, well, there's no way I can push you over the edge to buy. So you're definitely not going to buy. But there is one more thing we can do. All right, and I'm going to spray it again, get rid of this, and talk you through this, because this is something I learned years and years and years. Probably, I think when I came back from London, so I sold my business years and years and years ago in 2021 or something like that, one of my first businesses. Went to London when my brother, he was getting a record deal. And when he walked out on the record deal, we came back to Manchester and I had to work at a call center. So it's probably 2008, 2009 before I set up the locksmith company. And one of the things I learned, which is absolutely brilliant, right? So next thing to come along is objections, right? Objections, right? But what's really important, if you've got an objection and you tell me your objection, if I use my technique to stop you upsell, Phil, wait, you've got to get them to buy before you start upselling, mate. Right, but if you've got an objection and you say to me, oh yeah, but what about this? Or no, that doesn't make sense because of this. If I instantly then say to you, if I try to negate what you've just said, you're defensive. So what it is objections is we want to preempt objections first. And the reason we want to preempt the objections before we actually start asking questions, so questions is going to be the last bit, is because we want to basically, we don't want them to feel defensive. So if I know there's 3 primary objectives, yeah? Number 1, number 2, and number 3, they always come in from this. I get the same question every time I do a presentation, every time I do a video sales letter, every time I go into support, there's these same 3 questions. This doesn't make sense because of this or this or this. Okay. What I do is I use a strategy. In fact, it's another framework here. I use a strategy called feel, felt, found. Who's ever heard of this? Telesales strategy. Give me a 1 or a 2 or something like that. If you let me know if you've heard of it. I have. Hell yeah. It's brilliant, right? It's absolutely brilliant, right? Because what you're doing here is feel. Right. So basically, let's say somebody turns around and says, yeah, but that doesn't make sense because if GBP optimization is so important, but I still need to build citations for my website, something like that, right? What I'm going to say is, look, I completely understand how you feel, right? I felt the exact same when I first saw this. Okay. In fact, lots of other experts in the industry and lots of other people in your situation felt exactly the same. But what we found is this. What I'm doing there is I'm not turning around and saying to them, no, actually, you're wrong. As soon as you tell someone they're wrong, they get defensive. So what you say, I completely understand. We're justifying it. I completely understand how you feel. Okay. Other smart people have felt like that as well. But what we've actually found is this, found to be true is this. And then they will listen. And if you preempt these and you put these in prior to anybody being able to ask questions, email your support team, or do anything like that, if you preempt the objections, then nobody's ever going to get defensive because you preempted the objections and you've answered them first. Potentially, you want to answer them somewhere in your presentation, but this is super powerful. And then finally, questions, and that's it, guys. We do questions. You'll always see that I always do questions at the end. And what you want to try and do when you're doing questions is use similar to the feel, felt, found. Brilliant question. Completely understand why you're asking that question or why you're saying that question. It makes total sense. Okay. Most smart people would ask me that question. But what we found is this is true. So what we're doing is we're not making them get defensive. We're just saying to them that actually doing the research and the testing, this turns out to be true. But what you've said makes complete sense. But unfortunately, it isn't true. And this is how we know, and they don't get as defensive, and that works. So basically, when you're trying to sell at the end of a sales letter, when you're trying to sell at the end of a video sales letter, whether you're trying to sell on a web page, whether you're trying to sell on a webinar and a short talk, this is the framework that I will always use. And I know a lot of people will do something where they'll go in and say, bonus 1 is worth this, and bonus 2 is worth this, and bonus 3 is worth that. And I completely disagree with you doing it that strategy. Because I don't think trying to force somebody in by saying, I'm giving you all this money's worth of stuff, I feel like that's just a massive big scam. But if you can look at the customer and say, right, if I can get the customer from sad face to happy face with my bonuses, okay, transformation, customer transformation, okay, then the value price seems 10 times better. The if all statements are absolutely amazing. If all this did was X, would it be worth Y? If all this is Y, would it be worth Y? Okay, well, actually, it's actually worth that, but we're only going to charge you half of what that was. Are you over the moon? And sometimes I'll drop this price before I do the if all statements. Okay, and you can play with it and you can mix it up and you can do certain things that you want. Okay, guys, I feel that we've finished. I mean, so just quickly though, as an example. So if I was to say, okay, you run an SEO or web design agency, yes? AI is taking away your revenue and your customers and everything else, okay? If you ignore this, you could end up in the long term losing absolutely everything, okay? You lose your clients, you lose your income, you lose your assets, you even end up losing your family, I think we said earlier, which was a bit OTT, right? And then we turn around and say, everybody's reacting to this right now. Don't wait, because if you do wait, okay, you're going to fail because it's going to become 10 times harder. The wall you've got to climb now is 3 foot high, but by this time next month, it'll be 6 foot high. And by the 3 months after that, it's going to be a 100-foot wall and you're never getting over it because the market's going to be saturated. But if you get out in front, okay, and then we're going to jump in and say, and the key is Google Business Profile Optimization. It's AI proof, it's in demand. There's only 3 places at the top of Google, so there's a lot less chance of somebody being able to chase and catch you, simply because there's only 3 places. Any position 4 and down are getting nothing, because they have to add the more button. Then it's offer, value, bonuses, guarantee, urgency, scarcity, objections, and close, guys. Thank you very much for being here today. I hope you've enjoyed the training. Does anybody have any questions? I said I would keep this down to an hour tonight. We stopped the speaker tonight because I thought this would help you guys being able to sell and market and convert your businesses. And I'm just going to say thank you very much. I'm going to go back to the UK sun for a change.